Hello, my beautiful people. What is up, tribe? How are you? How is everyone on this lovely Thursday? Y'all know I don't be knowing what day it is. I just be flowing. What is up, you guys? I hope that you guys are feeling wonderful. Be honest. Like, tell me how you really feeling. Like, keep it 100, keep it a buck. What's going on in your world? Today, I want to break down what how this is actually a matrix. Like, I want to prove to you, and not really prove, but I want to help you understand how exactly this place is a matrix. And I want to, I guess when I say prove, I mean like if you're not skeptical of it, because I'm not here to convince you, but if you want to know about, if you understand that this place is a matrix, is a simulation, then I would love to help you understand that with visualization, with visuals. And I also want to break down to you um, how parallel realities work. For those of you who don't know, I'm an MDR therapist. That means that I take people into multiple lives. Multi-dimensional regression is what that stands for. So I work with the other side. I work with the dead. I work in parallel realities. Before I was doing this, I was helping people with quantum leaping. So the same thing I've done for myself with healing myself from physical conditions, medical, actual conditions that doctors could not explain or help me with. I've also done for others, and also helping people to manifest by using quantum leaping. This is all parallel reality stuff. So that happens to be a field that I work in, and I just want to help people understand it. It's actually helping me too because when I teach, I learn even more. Hey, hey, what's up, Soul Source? Soul Source Connection. I love that name. So yeah, I want to break this down, and y'all know me. I'm not coming here to entertain y'all, so feel free to interact. Please ask me questions. The more that you ask, the more that you say, my energy, my frequency is going to align with your own frequency, and I'm going to be able to give you more. I'm going to be able to channel and give you more information and answer your questions. But when y'all just be sitting on the screen expecting me to do a cartwheel, it don't work like that. Okay, so this is actually a challenge for me, y'all, because I explain this to people all day. Like before I do my MDR session, I explain to people how the universe works and yada yada yada. It just helps them with before we get into our session. And I do this on my intuitive coaching calls when people need to know about Earth is school and how Earth is school. But I don't really do it with like images too much. And for those of you who also don't know, I homeschool my kids. So obviously we use this board. They have a huge board in their room. We do the same thing, but I just recently realized how much I don't actually use like fun images. Even when I'm teaching them, I use the board and I'll use like words and I'll make like graphs and things when it comes to explaining these things. But literally just today and maybe a few other days throughout our homeschool life have I actually used images specifically to explain our life and how consciousness works and stuff like that. So I'm something is telling me to just do that more. So we're just going to see how this works, y'all. I don't even know if this is going to make sense to you guys, but yeah, again, ask me questions, okay? So, okay, let me see. Let me get up and see if my camera wants to follow me. That's how you like it, baby. Okay. Let's see. Can y'all see this? I feel like, let's see what happens. If it don't work, it just don't work, okay? I'm gonna explain it without all these visuals. But I want, like these visuals, it's like they're in my head when I'm learning this and when I'm teaching it to the kids. But I don't end up, like I said, I don't end up actually using the images too much, like I really want to. The damn face. Come on, face. Okay. Face recognition. Okay. So this is where we're gonna start at. Let me know if y'all can see this clearly. I said, I might as well show y'all my teaching side since this is what I do. For real, for real. All right, so let's break it down like this, y'all. Okay, the question is like, what is the universe? What is the world? What is reality? Obviously, that's more than one question, but we're gonna break it down in two parts. Okay, ignore all this. This is my Wolof words. I don't know if you can see that. I probably can't even see that. But ignore this section. Okay. Can y'all see this? Please tell me if you can see my words, because if not, I'm wasting my time. All right. I'm going to write that there is two parts. Kind of like how, there's some spiritual things to the number two. There's some real meaningful things to the number two. Ooh, my nails. I've been doing here all day. But two eyes, right? Two arms, 2 feet. Like there's a lot of twos. So since we understand two so well and we're so a part of two, let's start off by understanding that there is two different, you can say, systems, okay? There is the soul system. Actually, let's start with this system. We're going to start with the earth system. And then there is the soul system. Please tell me if y'all cannot see this, because maybe I need to bring it closer. And my handwriting, baby, don't try to get it, okay? Let me know if y'all can't see that. Hey, what is up? Thank you for coming in. Ask me questions, guys. The more you ask me, the easier I channel. Okay, so there's the earth system and there's the soul system. Y'all hear me talk about earth at school all the time, right? So I'm pretty much breaking that down. But we're going to start with this system here, the earth system. Kind of the same thing, though. Let me say this first before we plunge into both. 50%, I feel like I can't really see that. 50% of what you experience here is totally controlled by one thing. So let's say that what I'm talking about is how Earth is a system, and then there is the soul system, right? So I'm going to break down both systems separately, kind of, right? But basically what I'm saying is that 50% of your reality and your experiences and things are based on the soul system that I'm going to break down in a minute. And the other 50% is based on this Earth experience, this system. But as I said, it's controlled by one thing. What can you guys guess is the one thing that 50% of our experiences here is controlled by? I'm going to give y'all some hints in a minute. You were an actor. Okay. Okay. Shout out to you. I'm an actor too. I've played in a few commercials and things. Okay, so 50% of what you experience here is totally controlled by one thing. I'm going to give y'all a hint. I'm going to give y'all like a multiple choice thing, okay? My thing is losing my face. Okay, multiple choice, right? 50% of what you experience here is totally controlled by one thing. Would you say that one thing is perspective, choice, or let me see what my third one that I want it to be. Belief. What would you say that is the one thing that 50% of your experience here is totally controlled by? If that's it, I mean, I'm being so specific with my words. It's totally controlled. 50% of it is totally controlled by this one single thing. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. I'm gonna give you the answer now. Oh wait, let me try to read what you're saying. Oh, dark night of the soul and awakening. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad you clarified, baby, because I was about to ignore you. I didn't know what you was talking about. I was like, okay, this is somebody just. Y'all gotta remember how weird people can be on these apps and stuff. So you was like, I'm an actor, I'm this. I was like, okay, I was gonna let you talk. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna answer that in just a second. Choice. I'm sorry, y'all. My lights. Okay. Why? I can't tell. Did no. Did the signal get lost? That can't be happening because it's still on. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why every time I go on stream now, it's been doing this, but what's happened? Okay, it's back on. Okay. Choice is a choice. Did you say choice? Okay, exactly. It's choice. Thought is a good one. Thought is a good one. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to break this down, is because even when it comes to like the documentary The Secret, which gives a lot of really good pointers and a lot of really good tips, and it has definitely taken people off on their awakening journey, but it's very much watered down in the sense that it gets deeper than just thoughts create our reality. It's so much deeper than that. So between perspective, choice, and belief, the answer, y'all, whoever just said choice, the answer is choice. My thing just fell. So the answer is choice. So the one thing, this is in yellow, let me not do that. The one thing that 50% of all your experiences is controlled by is choice. Now, I want to be very clear with this. You guys, for those of you who don't know, I have been channeling all my life, okay? I have these beings that are my family. I share DNA with them. So do you. And since I was as early as 5, they have been speaking to me. They are the ones who told me Earth is school. Another thing that they have always shared with me, it's a lot of little things that I feel like even as an adult, like going through our awakening now, people are talking about on the quantum level and stuff like that. And they have literally just been programming this inside of me all my life. Choice is a big one. They have always told me that the secret to this whole entire thing is choice. And this right here, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. It hit me so hard today because I couldn't believe that I've always heard them talking about choice to me. And even in the last few recent years, I've really come to understand how circumstances don't matter and how much choice has to do with that. But it's like it just came full circle for me today. It's like, even for any mediums, channelers, it's like we'll get these messages to share to others, and when we are on a call and we need to help people, we can get the answer. Like, I do this in my sleep, but that doesn't mean that I'm exempted from the human experience of still needing to go through my experiences to get the full circle of what that means. So I was completely blown away today, and I just can't explain it all. But the freaking choice thing just had me today. And I was like, oh my God, this is what y'all been telling to me. I wasn't going to get this at 8 years old. So choice, y'all. I'm going to break this thing down in a minute. But when I tell you, I'm just explaining this because I want y'all to know that it's deeper than knowledge. Like even Einstein said, knowledge is nothing compared to the truth, like the knowing of self. So it's not coming from me reading things. Of course, that plays a part. That's why I study and things like that. But I want you guys to know that this is a channel message so that you understand, like, outside of getting any type of like textbook situation, a lot of you guys always tell me that the things that I say, it resonates with you and you feel like it's confirmation for messages that you've gotten, which is very accurate because we are all on one string of consciousness. So we really know all the same things. It's just that a lot of us forgot, or mostly all of us came here without the memory of knowing or remembering. So I'm just reminding you guys what you forgot. So I'm reading the comments in just a second. Okay, so choice. 50% of what you experience here is totally controlled by choice. The way that I want to break this down, let me see what I want to do next. What is choice? Let's just go right there. So choice. And this goes into like why circumstances don't matter. Because it doesn't matter if you are mourning a death. It doesn't matter if you are flat broke. It doesn't matter if you were abused. It doesn't matter. I mean, name the trauma. Name the trauma, name the thing, name the reality. You are choosing how you want to feel. It is literally not the experience itself. It is the reaction to the experience. And every single moment, every single second, we are choosing how we want to feel. That is the powerhouse of this whole thing. So, okay, my drawing. Don't laugh at my drawing. My whole point of doing this is doing this with visuals, right? So we're gonna get a remote. Can y'all see that? I probably can't see none of this, huh? I'm not seeing nothing on my camera. Let me do it a little bit bigger. Let me do it bigger and then see if I get closer, then I'm gonna block my light. Okay, so a remote control. The remote control is 50% of what is in control of every single experience that you have here, okay? So I'm gonna draw the remote. All right, here is the remote. The remote is choice. It is the controller, okay? I don't know if y'all can see that. Okay. Then, after the remote, what goes with the remote? Okay, exactly. I'm explaining the earth reality. Then we have a TV. I like analog, okay? I'm old school. I'm a 90s baby. So then we have the TV, okay? And actually, I'm gonna mix this up. I'm not gonna do, I'm gonna do the soul system from this TV. So we'll see. We'll come back to that later for the soul system. I'm gonna see if that will make sense. So the remote control is choice. This right here, you guys, is perception. The TV, what you get on the image, it has to do with your perception or perspective. Oops, I'm moving around too much. Okay, let me turn this off so that it can just stay on the screen. I think I can I zoom in? There we go. I think I can zoom in. Right? Oh, that's too close. Come on. It's not really zooming in well. But y'all can see that, right? Okay, so perspective. So it goes from choice to your perspective or your belief. So literally, whatever our choices are, because obviously we know, like, however we grow up, when you're a child, then you are grown up in whatever type of structure, right? Religion, or, maybe you grew up in a Muslim home or a Christian home or whatever. But obviously, once you become an adult, it's really when you get your remote control and you have a choice to control your perception on every single thing. It doesn't matter what the trauma is. I know that we are so caught up, especially I feel like right now, my generation is so caught up on labeling on labeling our traumas, and we're neurodivergent and we're ADHD, and like we kind of have this obsession with labeling things. On one end, it's a great thing because these things do these things do need to be called out in the forefront. We need to be talking about them. There's places like this continent I'm on, Africa, that they haven't even began to talk about mental health and certain things like that. On the flip side, we're doing way too much with the labels, and it's almost, while we're taking a step forward in inside of the truth, we're kind of going back into like the labeling stuff and the like, oh well, I'm this and I'm that, and then it's just stopping there. So we're starting to really believe even more. Like if you're one of those people that are into the labeling thing of labeling your mental health, and everybody's autistic now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but now all adults are autistic and ADHD, and it's not really helping. Only because people don't actually know how to heal. So it's unrealistic for us to even assume that half of us know how to heal if you haven't went through not just healing yourself but even healing others, because just the way that you healed doesn't mean that you actually know how to heal. So we're just labeling ourselves and we're not actually going anything past that. But the truth is that it doesn't matter what is going on. I swear to you, there's no circumstance. I'm the worst person. If you wanted to come to me and give me a bunch of excuses on or reasons on why you haven't done this thing, why you haven't made it to this, I'm the worst person. I swear I am. Because I just don't believe in circumstances. It's just nah. Like I'm very understandable, but I have made too many things happen without having anything. Like we have to remember, like I came to this continent with less than $200 and my kids. I have literally just thought of money and just had it in my account. So I have a whole video of me literally creating objects in a space that was not there before. I am the worst person to talk about what you can't do and how because of this, and if the person wasn't doing that, I swear, like that's why I say if you sign up for my coaching, if I happen to be if you're someone that I happen to mentor, shout out to you, because we are not our worst critics. We are our best liars. And what I'm like doing all day with every client is calling out their lies, because we really be lying. And I know that, I don't spoon feed. Like I tell the truth. It's the only way, like Jesus said, it's the only way to set us free. So if we just take a look at everything, there's nothing that doesn't matter. You always have the power of choice. Choice is so unique and so powerful that out of all the planets, and there are trillions of planets, guys, free choice, or let me say the amount of choice that we have, and let me back up to NASA. You can go to the NASA website and you can see NASA confirm that there are trillions of planets. Okay. I'm not just speaking some mumbo jumbo conspiracy crap. Okay. Now, out of all the planets and all the realities, this one that we're in, we have the most emphasis and power when it comes to choice. It's a very special, unique thing that humans look over. So when I say that I've been getting this channeled message about choice, and it being a message I've gotten since, I don't know, maybe as early as, I'm going to say maybe 10 or 11, if I can remember, when they first started telling me about choice. And it's something that we have to kind of slow down and really think about, because that's why it hit me the way it hit me. Why? Why? Okay, y'all, hold on. I got Okay. So yeah, it's about, is this, yeah, that's on. So yeah, it's about this privilege that we have. And this is so deep, y'all, because you guys have seen me talk about the new earth, the rapture, that we're in the middle of right now. Charlie Kirk is such a great example. I was just explaining this to a client yesterday because you guys, these things are being presented to us as choices. Which side of the earth are you going to be on? Which side? If you guys remember in the Bible when they talked about the rapture and they said the whole Bible is metaphors. All the religious texts are all metaphors that and like riddles and things. This is how they used to talk back in those days. So it's not even a conspiracy. You just have to go back in history and see how people would actually write and talk. They would put a lot of little parables and things like that inside of things. And when it comes to choice, that is just a real thing where it's one of those things where in the Bible when they were saying like people will be walking down the street and a one person would disappear. You'll be in the field with your friend and your friend will disappear. They're not talking about that like literally and exactly. That's not what they meant. What they meant was what's happening right now. You guys can see, if you guys are in America, you can see that just like during the pandemic times, there's a split happening. You're able to see what side of the coin people are on. And for your own self, you are being faced with an opportunity to choose. Are you going to keep going with the ego and who's right and who's wrong and all this separatist mindset? Are you going to get caught up in the race debates and gender debates and victimhood and all of this hate? Are you going to continue to stir that up? Karma? Because what's going to happen for those of us that are choosing that every time, and I've been saying this for years now, and I specifically have been saying that when this year comes, the year that we're in right now, this is the year that we are leaving the Kali Yuga. It means that all these centuries from the beginning of mankind, we're literally going out of this paradigm of suffering and just the way that things have been, war and all these things. I know it looks crazy. It doesn't look like that's happening, but we are. And everybody is not going. Okay? It's a split and it is a choice. So you're either going to be choosing more of what has been stirring up and making what the world has been in the past, or you're going to choose love. And you're going to choose compassion, and you're going to choose understanding, and you're going to choose light. You're going to choose to not get involved in news that makes you feel sad and drama that doesn't make you feel good. You're going to find yourself saying more, this was my experience that happened for me, not to me, instead of going with the victimhood. Just a lot of that. That is what these experiences, like the Charlie Kirk experience, is doing for us. We are at a crossroads of choosing which side of the earth that we're going to be on. For those that choose the side to not be in victimhood, you're going to find that your problems, your challenges happen less and less. You're going to start seeing synchronicity in your life. Life is literally going to get easier. You guys, the earth is splitting in a split of hell or heaven. I don't like to use those terms, but because we have those definitions, it's going to help you understand what I'm saying. A perfect world, a world where everything is coming to you and nothing is needed and you just have it. We're all going to be here together. We're still going to be here together, but it's going to feel like we're not, because literally the people that are choosing the opposite are going to be having a completely opposite experience right next to you. That's what's happening. So choice is a huge thing, right? We're choosing. We got the remote control and we're choosing which channel that we want to be on. Based on whatever we choose is our perception, right? And then based on our perception is our reality. Everything that we end up experiencing and seeing. This is a tree, if you can't see that. And these are clouds and so and so, so and so. Okay? I'm just literally just drawing a reality. And you can be happy and fulfilled in this reality, and things could be coming your way, challenges, things that you don't prefer, and they can be bouncing right off of you. They can be just levels, like my guys used to always say, get your levels in, get your levels in. They could be levels, and you could be happy and fulfilled, or you can be sad. That's a sad face that you probably can't see because it's so hard. But this is it, guys. This is how the earth system works. It works through us choosing, and then our perception, and then our reality. Our beliefs, what we believe, so what you believe about yourself, which everything, anytime that you are having anxiety or you're in conflict with yourself, when you don't know what to do, all of these things are out of alignment with your true self. And it is always, always, listen to me, always, it's never a time and it's not. It is always based on something that you believe about that subject. So you're believing that you have to feel that way for something. And the way that you get out of that is simply by asking why. Why do I feel this way? And then whatever that answer is, why did I feel that way? And whatever that answer is, why did that come to that conclusion? And keep on asking yourself why. And if your answers, this is how you know if you're really getting down to the bottom of the truth that Jesus was speaking about. If your answers, while you're asking the whys, if they keep on going towards someone else, if the answer is my mom, my husband, my wife, like if that's your answer, then you're just gonna keep on learning that lesson over and over again. When your answers become more of an inward answer with the more whys that you ask, and it probably doesn't make sense what I'm saying. You have to try it. But as you continue to do that, you're going to get down to the answer being you and what that connection is. But anytime that you are not in alignment with yourself, if you are having an experience that you don't want, if you're feeling sad, angry, depressed, any of those things, it's always you being out of alignment. And it's always happening because there's something that you are believing. It's your perception on something based on something that you believe. It's a story that you're telling. You're telling yourself something. You know, there's this game that I've been playing with the kids since they were really little. And this is for them to get used to understanding the power of perception. We haven't played this game in years. So if I can remember it, what we do is we sit around in a circle and we tell a story. Like each person gives a link to the story. And each person will say something first good, quote unquote good, or something that relieves the character, and then the next person will have a piece to the story that is really horrible. So for example, and I wish I have to bring my kids in here to ask them what we used to say, because it's literally been like 2 or 3 years since we played this game. But we would be like, the person was bouncing the ball in the house, and then the ball fell over the balcony, and the person went over the balcony to get it without realizing that that was danger. And we used to say something like, perspective, something, oh, well, it was something like that we would say. And then the next person would pick up the story and they would be like, but when the person went over the balcony, there was a trampoline at the bottom of the balcony. So, I mean, at the bottom on the floor. So they ended up going down to the ground and bouncing up. And then we would say, oh, that's a different perspective. Oh well, something like that. I think we would say, I think we would be like, oh, that's bad, or something like we would label it because that's what humans do. And then something else would happen that would work out, and then we would label it the opposite thing. And then so let's say after the person bounces on the trampoline, I don't know, I'm just using a random ass example. But then they go off and they start flying somewhere, and when they fly, it's a bunch of birds in the air, and the birds are scratching them and hurting them. So it's like, oh, that's a bad thing. And then we'll be like, yeah, but then there were some planes that came through, or a storm started, and like just going back and forth, changing the story so that they can understand from a really young age. They are 7, 10, really young when we started playing this game. So they can understand the concept of how things change, and how when you whether you label them or not, which it makes it where there's no point of doing that, because you don't really know what a thing is happening for. But based on your perception, based on your belief about the experience, you're going to go into either being distraught about it and being like, oh my God, or not. So it's kind of just like an exercise to help them with like real scenarios, real life scenarios on how things could be bad and then be good, you know. I hope that makes sense. Let me read this comment. Why is the number why is the number one question? Oh, right? Why is the number one question? It's so like there's so much power in why, y'all. Now think about this though, because like I said, we're not our biggest critics. Like the sayings that humans have, like we have really done a number on ourselves with the sayings. Like sayings that we have and that we believe are incomplete. If you ever done any research on like the most popular sayings, a lot of them are incomplete. Or all of them are misunderstood. And some of them just flat out do not make no damn sense. And so that's why I say, no, we're not our worst critics. We are our best liars. And a person can go through that question of why, that power of why, and lie to themselves. That's exactly what we normally do. Normally, when we are in a state based on whatever your perception is and the story that you're telling the story all right. You're telling why you lost your job all right, or why that relationship didn't work out. But it's somebody else's fault. It's coming from a perception of you having abandonment issues or mom and your daddy issues and, a bunch of other stuff, victimhood and things like that. I literally just had this same conversation with myself and how everything is a choice. Yes, I'm telling y'all. I was like, yeah, I almost went live earlier. I feel like when I go live, because most of my viewers are in America. So when I go live, when it's daytime here, it's too early. But I wanted to go live some hours ago, y'all, because choice was hitting me like crazy. And I just couldn't believe that my guides have been telling me about choice all this time. And I talk about choice. But it's like the level that I have understood it, the level that it came full circle for me today, I was like, damn. And I'm going to tell y'all one thing too, because I'm going to say one of the biggest, like, let me say, as much as I've understood choice and I've preached and talked about choice, one of my biggest, like, understandings or epiphanies with choice was when my sister passed away. Because understanding that how like circumstances don't matter because of choice, because we choose how we want to feel. It's about your reaction to it. Understanding that everything is a choice. It's like even with me experiencing death, grief in the past, I haven't felt it like I felt it when my sister passed away. And I remember on like the fourth day of her passing, it was such a dark place that I was in. I mean, literally, the best way that I could describe what I experienced was like someone was like taking my head and like plunging my head under like deep, freezing cold ocean water. And just, I had to hold my breath for hours and hours. And then I'd come up to tend to people, to tend to my kids. And then I'd have to go back under this water. And it's just how it felt. It's like if you all have ever experienced grief from a close loved one, then the feeling of like you wake up every morning and it's like, damn, I got to do the reality again. Because, this is really the dream world. It's not the other way around. Like we've been taught, we go home whenever we go to sleep. The dream world is the spiritual world. It's whenever we wake up and here we are again, continuing our dream. So it was like every morning I'm like I'm here again. I got to do life again. And it was just like, I'm reliving her death every day. This is a new life now, because if you have a close one that passed away, someone that you talk to, now you are on literally in your cells and everything, you are on a new course. You are not the same person. You will never be that same person. Every second, you are not the same person. Every single second. You guys have changed like 1,000 times since you've been watching this. And I'm talking about on a like biological scientific level, the way that your neurons and your cells replenish and rejuvenate, all that has happened over and over and over again just by these minutes that you've been here, or I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour. So I just remember on the fifth day or so wanting to get out of that darkness. And I just remember like wanting to meditate like I normally do, like my daily meditation routine. I'm like, okay, I know how to raise my vibration. I will meditate. And then it was like, dang. But then you start feeling guilty for even wanting to feel good, because you know that you're in a horrible state. So it's such a conflicting energy to be in. If for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you most likely will. And obviously, because we all have to experience this. And it's just one of those things where I was like, damn, so this is what y'all have meant by choice. Like, it never says like, you know, choice is yours and the power of choice except for when you're grieving. No, all the time. You mean to tell me right now, while I am feeling the most pain I've ever felt, I'm talking about aching, excruciating, I could feel this pain in my body so deeply, and I have to make a choice on how I want to feel. Yes, yes, that is it. That is the power of choice. It doesn't matter what you're experiencing. At some point, you have to make a conscious choice, because all the time, every second, never not, you are always making a choice. You could even say your name is choice. Everybody's name is choice. We all just choices walking around here. That's how that's how embedded in the effervescence of yourself is the whole idea of choice. Choice is 50% of what you are experiencing here. The other 50 goes to the spiritual realm that we're going to get to. But I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm using the extremes of grieving my sister in such a state like that to help y'all to understand, if I'm talking about dealing with a close loved one dying and me having to choose how I want to feel, I'm damn sure talking about you being triggered by your baby daddy, or triggered by your job, or triggered by your family. Choose. Or triggered by Charlie Kirk. Choose. Or watching things like the New Orleans documentary, when you know it's going to mess with your energy. Choose. It's about choice all the time, every second. You're never not choosing. When you think you're not choosing, guess what you're doing? You're choosing. That's how cool this thing is here. And this is the message that I have been getting all of my life. Okay, this is not a new message, y'all. You are choice. So, again, choice, imagine yourself as the remote control, or having it. And then all of what you're entertaining, all of what you're implementing, the story that you're telling yourself, not your trauma, not your trauma. That's an excuse. That's bullshit. Your trauma is not your trauma. We can say that your trauma is your perception until you are aware that you have a choice. Sometimes, but it don't matter, because you're still making a choice. You know, like, that's why it really don't even matter, like, because you're still making a choice. And then there is your reality. Okay, so now let's talk about the soul system. So remember, I said there's two systems. There is the earth system and there's the soul system. All of this makes up all of reality. We're gonna get real deep. I'm gonna try to make this make sense. It is so crazy explaining this, because the layers that exist in all of this, it's amazing. Let me read this comment. You are a very very perspective person. Thank you. Have you considered opening up a counseling practice over there? You know what? I haven't, because I don't speak the language fluently, but I do have my counseling practice that I do online. I mean, I've been doing this for over 13 years. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Hold on, y'all. No. Get me off this raggedy camera. Okay. Yeah, I've been doing this for many years. If you guys go to my website, Earth is School, you'll see in my biography, I started really early after dropping out of psychology school. I started with my own practice, and I would literally have people come to my house. Like, in my early 20s, I would have couples that have been married 30, 40 years, way longer than I was married. And I would counsel them. I would counsel families. I would help parents and stuff. And that's what brought me to dropping. It used to be called Breaking the Cycle, and now it's called Earth is School, which is what my guides have been telling me all my life. And I do the same thing there. It's literally me just coaching people and really helping them with exactly this perspective. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so y'all got this, right? Can y'all see this? It looks light. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Should I erase this anything? Yeah, because I don't feel like bending over and writing all that. I'm going to have to get lower. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the soul system. Okay. Soul system. What is the soul system made up of? What do y'all think has to do with the soul system? There's like three components that I may or may not be able to remember. Um, just let's just hope that my guys just give it to me again. Okay, the soul system is your soul team and your higher self. Oop, oop, oop. And I'm gonna break down God in this because we can't talk about nothing without talking about God, right? Okay. Soul system is okay. I remember now. I remember. Maybe they just giving it to me again. Parallel. Oops, baby, can you spell though? Parallel realities. Who else is? Parallel realities. And then, okay, I know. This is the soul system, okay? We already broke down the earth system in the way that this, I think I didn't tell y'all either. The way that that is how the whole reality is created from choice and perspective and belief, right? Everything, see, I'm gonna have to go back, but I was probably gonna do that anyway. I'm pretty sure I was gonna do that anyway, so it's okay. Um, okay, this one is divine. Um, what do I want to say? Divine. How do I want to say this? Divine timing kind of thing. Soul contract. Soul contractual experiences. Ooh, baby, y'all probably can't see nothing. I'm gonna break this down in a video too, though, so y'all probably be able to see it a lot better if I'm just recording and not on live. Okay, so the soul system is three components to the soul system. That's the soul team, higher self, and or God. It really is the same freaking thing, but I'm gonna break it down. And also parallel realities and divine timing or soul contractual agreements that I did not spell right, so don't worry about that. Um, of the contract, what is that? Let me just correct this. Contractual agreements. Okay. All right. So, soul team or higher self. Let me see how I want to break this down, y'all, because it's so easy. Because nothing is separate. It's so funny explaining this because the layers that exist shows you like if there's layers of anything, like it's the whole cake. It's just layers to it. None of this is actually separate, but our human linear brains need it to be broken down. So it's so easy to just jump to the whole thing because it's all one thing. The higher self is you. There is literally a version of you that some people call the oversoul. Some channelers call it the inner soul, the oversoul. I just call it you, or I might say higher self. But the way that I can break this down to you, it's kind of like, or very much like, that the soul that is entertaining my body right now, this particular physical body in this timeline, it's not my whole soul. Even though I'm live and I'm moving and I can do all this and feel and all these things, my whole soul is not here. This is just a tiny portion of my soul that is activating this body. Okay? You, the timeline that you are in, the individual who's watching me right now, it's just a tiny bit of your soul that is actually making your body alive and move. There's another and other parts of your soul. The best way that I can probably give this an example is I guess my sister can help with this example. Um, I think my sister can help with this example too, because if you guys don't know, I do MDR sessions, right? I guess y'all can see that a little bit. Oh, that's too light. So I do MDR sessions, right? Multidimensional regression. And in the sessions towards the end, if anyone has a deceased loved one, they are able to speak to their deceased loved ones, or they just speak to their soul team or whatever, right? So in one of my sessions that I did, I spoke to my sister. This was like 4 months after she passed. And I actually was not trying to speak to her. I was asking the person that I was doing a session for or a session on. It's a friend of mine. She's also a medium. And so we kind of take turns to go into parallel realities, and we just learn a bunch of shit, right? So we were doing this one day, and I had a question about another one of our siblings. So I was asking my friends' guides about another one of our siblings, and my sister who passed away decided to come through and answer the question. Why is my thing being so ghetto? I do not appreciate this freaking $1,000 camera playing with me like this. Okay. Don't do it again. I'm talking to my camera, y'all. I'm tired of this. Okay. So I have this on video too. I just haven't shared it because people can be so stupid online. But so my sister comes through, she answered the question, right? And I asked her if she has any messages for my mom. And she's like, yes, like told mama that I'm busy, I'm making things, I'm doing things, I'm creating all these things. And then my sister goes, she's not going to understand this. You know, she's like, mama's not going to understand this, but I am really enjoying this version of her here. And now I knew what my sister was talking about. I knew that she was talking about my mother's higher or over soul. But I wanted to probe her more for my audience for when I decide to share this video, because it's something that I've shared before, and this is proof, because you can't make this stuff up. Like, my friend is not a paid actor, you know? And so I asked my sister, I go, are you saying that you are spending time with another version of our mom, like her higher soul right now? And she's like, yes. She's like, all of you. So I go, so are you saying that right now, while I'm talking to you through my friend, I'm also there with you? And she goes, yeah, you're sitting right here eating popcorn on the couch. And we all started cracking up. Me, my friend, and my sister, who is deceased, right? We all just started cracking up because we knew that I wasn't sitting there on the couch eating popcorn. But we knew, like, the souls joke a lot. You guys, they don't have the personalities that we think. Like, we think that souls are so serious and they're so just like, they be cussing. I got so many recordings of these souls cussing and just saying stuff and just being real. Like, they are the realest, okay? So yeah, that was so funny because it was just confirmation on that kind of thing. And my sister she didn't know about this kind of stuff before she passed away. Like, I would be talking to her about this stuff, and she even told me after she passed away, she was like, oh my God, a lot of the stuff that you would tell me, I'm seeing now. She actually told me that through my friend who speaks to the deceased. So that wasn't even in my session. That was my friend who literally sees dead people. And she was like, yeah, your sister said that a lot of the stuff that you said to her, it's clicking to her now that she's on the other side. So, well, just to give that example though, there is really another version of you that is looking over you, that knows exactly what's going on all the time, that loves you unconditionally. Don't take this place so deep and so serious. It's such a temporary experience. On the other side, you guys, that's how fast life is. And this is in the Bible, the Quran. Other texts will tell you, like, we can see this in religious texts where it says that time is so different and it actually doesn't feel how we think it feels. I have stories on stories to confirm to you guys how quick this life is. So just try to remember that this is not your everything. We're going to get into you having other realities right now at the same time, but you have an over soul or a higher soul that is actually, I don't want to, I'm probably really loud. Sorry, y'all. I think I heard my neighbor like, girl, shut the hell. No, they didn't say that, but it's midnight and I'm just loud as hell. Okay. And my window's open. Nobody told me to be quiet, but I'm just saying. I felt it. Somebody's probably saying that in their head. Hold on, let me get Ishailen to shut this window because I'm scared that a lizard's gonna come out. Hey, you guys, Ishailen. I need to shut my window, but I'm not shutting my window because last time I shut my window at night, and a freaking dinosaur came through there, aka a lizard. Okay. So, anyways, y'all understand the concept of soul, of higher soul, right? Then there is your soul team. Your soul team. Okay, here we go with the human stuff because we have to separate everything. This is going to be my biggest message at the end, guys. Is for us to stop separating everything because that's what my guides are sharing with me the most to share with you all is the whole separatist stuff. So ancestors, angels, guides. What else do we call them, y'all? That might be it. Soul team. What else? Is that all that we be calling people that pass away and look over us? I think that's it, right? It doesn't matter what you call them. They don't care. This is your soul team. This is your team of individuals. Everybody is the same thing at the end of the day. We're all light. And they are here. They are present to guide you. And whenever you pass away, every single one of us will go through a life review. And that is who you will meet. If you want to check out my video, I think it's titled The Time I Reunited with God. I think that's what the title is. But I literally tell the story of me going to New Mexico because my guides told me to go to New Mexico so that I could reunite with them. And I dragged my whole family to New Mexico, not knowing at all what the experience was going to be like. And I ended up reuniting with my soul team. So when we reunited, and I tell this story in the story time, it literally was like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Oh my God, it's been so long. Give me a hug. I miss you. I love you. You guys are doing great. You're doing so great. That was literally the meeting that I had with them. And it was like an outer body experience. I feel like we just overuse that word so much. But that's our soul team. Let me read this comment. You have a mirror effect. Everything you write appears reversed. But you're that's why it ain't no point in me doing this. See, that's why you have to just do it. Because duh. So how do I fix that? I guess that when I record the video, I can write backwards. Don't trip. I'm gonna write backwards. No, I'm just playing. Y'all, if I get on here and write backwards, just know that that's not me, okay? No, but okay, so when I'm doing my video, then I guess I would flip it. That makes sense. I don't know if I could do that on live though. Thank you so much for that though. See, if I wouldn't have done this, I would have never even known that. Okay, so God. Let me make sure I don't want to skip this because this is such a big message. Okay, so we're talking about the soul system, right? We know that 50% of our experience is our choice, and this 3D reality is what we're talking about as far as the Earth system. And it has to do with our choices, which go into, which birth our beliefs, which births our perception, which births our reality, right? We just did that. Now we're on the soul system because there's two systems. And now we're talking about the first link to that soul system. And it's higher self. We went through that. You know what your higher self is. We also just went through the soul teams. So now we're going to go through God. All right, y'all. Let me try to do this. I'm not even going to write this down so y'all can't see it anyway. I guess I can still do images. But let me do this image. What do we call God? What is mostly all the religions, and there's different terms for it. Like literally, even in the Indian tradition in India, they have the same word, but just a different way to say it. What are the two things that we always call God? Omnipresent and omnipotent. What do those two things mean? It is the most amazing phenomenon to me that we will literally say omnipotent. God is omnipotent. God is omnipresent. And we don't even know what that means. This is what omnipotent and omnipresent means. Let's say that this square is our reality. Let's say that inside of this square is literally everything. All the planets, Earth, every experience, every individual is inside of this. The definition of omnipresent, Jamaica like I can't spell, and omnipotent, and hold on, omnipotent. Sorry about my handwriting. It is this everything. It is literally everything. That's it. Omnipresent and omnipotent means everything. It means that there's nothing else that isn't it. It means that every single thing inside of this thing that is everything is it. It means all that is. Do you understand what this means? It means that there's only one thing that exists, and that is God. That's it. It means that me and you, this board, this marker that I'm holding, the floor that I'm standing on, look at this. Every single one of these things have to go away. Over 1,000 years, my body is not still going to be here present. I'm not, these clothes are going to be over with. This board is going to be over with. Everything literally has to break itself down and be eaten up by the soil, by the ground, by the air, by debris. Every single thing, right? Including our bodies. We all agree and understand this, right? So, what we're doing here is just playing these roles through God. But really, we are God, and we are just playing through these avatars. All this stuff is just a play. Every single thing around us, this entire whole thing is just a play. But if God is truly omnipresent and omnipotent, that is everything. It's all power. It's everything. When you say omnipresent, it's all things that exist. It's all that is, right? So that means that it cannot be anything else. There is no isn't. There is only what is, and God is all that what is. And when you say omnipotent, we're talking about all things that have power, all things with power, all things that have movement, that have life. That is God. So therefore, there is nothing else that actually exists. Nothing. It's just the illusion of those things, which is going back to what the Earth system is, because that is our reality. That is the simulation that we're in. We're in this simulation where everything looks separate, where it looks like I'm here and you're there, and there's this and there's that, and it's them over there. But really, once we all die, once everything is broken down, we're all the same being. Your color doesn't matter, what you did doesn't matter, your ethnicity doesn't matter, none of that matters. You end up literally just being the light. And we know the law to light, right? It cannot be destroyed. It only keeps going. That is what you are. So it's not no like conscious rumbo jumbo. It's not no woke, conspiracy. You really are God. You're just pretending not to be. And you came here to remember that. The Bible is so, even the Quran, the Torah, like these things are literally talking about us being all one. They talk about looking at your neighbor as if your neighbor is yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. They literally talk about there being no separation. The Bible gives this example of a big tree trunk with a bunch of branches connected to it, just to give us the example of this simulation where literally, if there's no more life force inside of my body, the life force is still existing. It is God. It is the only, there's no debating this, because the only way that you could debate this is if you don't believe that God is omnipresent and omnipotent. If you don't believe that there's a higher power that is over everything, which I think that unless you are an atheist, this is what everyone does believe. At the end of the day, we all agree that there is a higher power, right? It's just that humans, we categorize and we labelize and we compartmentalize and we separate, we put everything in these judgment, these little categories and stuff, when that's what everything looks like we're supposed to do here. That's what everything looks like. We've been taught to do that, but that's not actually really what it is. So on the other side, it's none of that. It's all mobile. It's like how it feels when we're dreaming. In a dream, you can think of something and it's just there. You can think of a place and you just go there. It's the same thing with souls because they are light energy. You truly are light. You just look like Keisha. You just look like Jared. I'm just making up names now. But you get my point, okay? So I just really wanted to do this scribble scrabble so y'all can see how easy this was. All right, so that is one chord of the soul system. Okay, the other thing is parallel realities. Let's get to parallel realities, y'all. I love talking about parallel realities because it's always been my calling to talk about it. And I know this to be certain because I came here with the memory of myself in other realities. So since I was a child, you guys see the kids sometimes, they're going viral on Instagram and they'll be like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, when I was in another life, I used to do this and do that. So that was me. I knew already certain lives that I had lived. I had very good memory of me being in certain spaces and doing certain things as an adult before I had become an adult. I had a lot of deja vu. By the time I was 12 years old, I knew for a fact, without my guys even telling me, because they did tell me, but without them even telling me, I could feel that this was not the only timeline that we were having. Really? But yeah, without them even telling me, I could feel that this wasn't the only time. You know what? I could give up on my camera, but I'm trying not to. Oh, I probably have to unplug it. Okay, let me know if y'all have any questions. So, okay, parallel realities. Oh, let me try to break this down. Okay, let me try to break this down without getting too deep. That's like impossible. There is no past. Okay, the future has not happened, and there really is no past. Isn't that funny how I'm like, let me do this without getting too deep. There is no past. Like shatter your whole your whole belief system right there. So it feels like it is a past. It definitely feels like it because our brains are wired to have a linear perspective on things. It's not something that wasn't supposed to be here. We were supposed to have always in the past feel as though things are linear. Now we are going towards different concepts. As you guys are seeing people, the whole world is going more into quantum physics and a quantum experience, those kind of metaphysical things. So you can see the concept of past and future and things like that changing. So let me see how I can explain this though, because even though it feels like there's a past because our brains are wired to think linearly, what's really happening is everything is happening at the same time. I think that deja vu is like one of the best examples because even though as humans we come with so much ego. Like we need for things to be broken down to a science in order to believe it. In order to believe it or in order to understand it. And deja vu is one of those things that if you haven't experienced it, sorry, but everybody really has experienced deja vu, and deja vu can really help you understand how things are happening at once. Because it's not just when we talk about other lives, parallel lives, or past lives, it's not just that you had a past life or you're in a parallel life with you doing something completely different in a completely different body. You have a bunch of those, and then you have a bunch of lives of or timelines or whatever of you doing same and similar things with the same body, with the same clothing, with the same looking reality, and then things are just a bit tweaked. So that's why when you have deja vu, we're like, oh my God, wait a minute, like I've been here before, or we did this before. And if you notice in deja vu, you normally will, because you have a linear brain, you're going to say before. You're not going to naturally say, oh my God, we're doing this right now somewhere else. You're not going to say that because we're not even taught that way. But if you notice in deja vu, it's always the experience that feels familiar to you, but then it's a little tweaked a little bit. If you pay attention, it's normally like, okay, dang, like I felt this before, but the person had a red shirt on instead of a blue shirt. Or we were right here, but this person wasn't here. And of course, again, we're saying it like was, but that's just because of our programming of us not being, non-linear beings. You can tell that things are non-linear though by even the way that you're a soul having a human experience. That's an intertwining of things. So I've never actually tried to draw this. I usually use this example because I can literally see timelines merging together. And this is kind of going to go into the way that dimensions are set up. This is probably not going to make sense to half of you guys, and I'm so sorry if it doesn't, but I promise if you come back at a different time, it's going to click. Okay, you're going to go and have some experiences and you come back and what I'm saying is going to click if it doesn't click now. And I have literally seen this with my own eyes without being under any kind of thing or anything like that. Okay, the dimensions are not actually in layers. Again, this is linear stuff, just like reincarnation. That's a linear thing. In order for reincarnation to exist, it would mean that there's a time sequence of things. And time, as we know it, actually does not exist. Not from how we actually calculate it and know it, right? So what's actually happening right now, and if you guys are familiar with taking shrooms or taking DMT, or if you ever heard of somebody having that experience and they'll be like, they can be sitting right here in the room with you and they'll be like, oh, I see a so-and-so walking by, or this is happening with the so-and-so or whatever, this is what's taking place right in the same room as you. You don't see it. What's actually happening is their synapses in their brain is opening their awareness to other dimensions. This has been proven a million times. This is just strictly science. It's not even something to debate. That's what's happening. It's not hallucinations. It's just another dimension. And our linear selves, with our linear teaching and understanding, has seen dimensions just like heaven and hell as below, as above and below kind of thing. But that's not how it actually works. The dimensions or the realities, they actually work like this. They work like this. Is this making sense? Can you guys see this? Every single layer of lines that you see, those are dimensions, not even overlapping because that's linear. They are intertwining with each other. They are merging together. And I literally can see this, guys. I don't know how to explain that, but I am able to feel whenever I am having a parallel reality experience, and I can literally see and feel at the same time just how that experience is merging. So, like, I did a live a few weeks ago where I talked about a time when I could see myself merging in another reality with me doing my birth work. And I literally called my friend Jennifer, like, what the fuck is going on? I can see my other realities right now. And this reality of me being a birth worker is merging together and it's making me feel so intense. And she literally goes, because Jennifer does Akashic record readings. So she literally goes and she's counting 1, 2, 3, 7, 10. Oh yeah. She's like, oh yeah, you're doing something with people's minds and the birthing about 11 times, about 11 different lives right now. She even was able to tell me a certain technique, because if you don't know, when I help women with giving birth, I don't just, it's not just any normal birth. It's a painless birth, and it's down to a science. Like, it's not like it's not some hoopla, whoop-de-doo. Like, if you come to me for a birth, you're going to have a painless birth. If you go through my whole training, your birth is going to be, it's going to feel good. And that's not me like burning sage or teaching you how to do yoga. Like, it's a full-on thing that I do. And um, she knows nothing about birth and nothing about giving birth or anything like that. She's all for hospital birth. She's has nothing to do with this lifestyle or anything. And she was literally able to show me a technique. Like, I specialize in this timeline. I specialize in helping a woman's cervix open up at the right time. She was literally showing me a technique that I am using in another timeline. It feels like the past because we got dates and stuff. So she could say, oh, in the 1400s, but that's not really real. It's happening in another timeline. And I'm literally using seaweed as a technique to open up the women's cervix. Mind you, again, in this life, I specialize in this. This is a specialty that I do. In another life, while I'm literally feeling myself experiencing that, my friend is able to explain that to me. And I had an experience about a week before of me picking up seaweed and telling my friend, if y'all know K-Bye, I literally looked at K-Bye and said, I feel like I'm doing something with seaweed right now. And he was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm using seaweed for something. And then literally the next week, I have this experience. I see myself in these parallel realities. I get the confirmation from my friend. She tells me that not only am I doing that in 11 lives, but I am using this technique with seaweed. She's like, Daylight, I don't know what the hell I'm even talking about. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. So she's like, please go and research it. You can go and research right now how back in like the 1600s, there were expert doulas and midwives that was using, it's not very common, but it was used to use seaweed to efface a cervix, to open up a cervix. So I'm just using this as like proof, as an example of me really knowing what the hell I'm talking about and how the parallel realities actually look and work like this, and just putting those pieces together with the truth of that. Let me read this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Searching for Truth. I love that name. I have memories that come through. Okay, wait, let me put this on here so that my playback can see. Okay. Oops. I have memories that come through like flashes of experiences that I've never had, like a dream that feels real but not remembered. I love that. I love it. You did have it. Yes, you did. You just didn't have it in this timeline. But that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what the merging of realities is. These things are happening, you guys, all the time. Like, I need to sit down when I explain this. Like, I feel like I need to take a seat, okay? Because, okay, no, for real, I'm gonna sit down real quick because I have to really break this down to y'all. Listen, it's so crazy because when we are looking at healing, guys, and we're literally like expecting, we're like, my man needs to come healed. I'm already healed. Yada yada yada. It's such a misconception. Oh my God. Like, my guides are like, like, get it together, guys. Like, they be like, please share this. You must share this message because it is so unrealistic. We just don't understand how unrealistic our idea of healing is, because not only, like I said earlier, the majority of us do not actually know how to heal. We just don't. Your personal healing journey is not the same way that everybody is going to be able to heal, right? But then most people that even have healed themselves cannot just break that down, cannot just break down how to heal. Hold on one second. This thing is going dead. And so, hold on. Dang, I gotta unplug my camera to charge this up. Okay, y'all, hold on one second. Cha-cha. Okay, let me not lose my thoughts because, baby, you know I will forget. Y'all, don't let me lose where I'm at. It's my fault. We got. I'm trying to call one of my kids in here. They can't hear nothing. Okay, I'll be like, y'all didn't hear me? Okay, so, well, let me forget y'all. Okay. Healing. Okay, so when it comes to healing, you guys, first of all, the healing never ends. Okay, please don't let me forget. For real, I'm gonna forget. Can you come and shut this door, this window, quickly? Okay. You can just, yeah, you can go that way. All right. No, not the door, the window. You have to do it really fast so the lizard doesn't come in. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I have a thing. Thank you so much. Okay. So, all right, healing. First of all, y'all, it just don't even make no sense to be saying I'm healed, because soon as you heal from something, first of all, there's levels to this. There's levels to healing. You have to heal from just the way that your boss triggered you. You have to heal from the way that you criticize yourself. Like, there's so many layers and levels to healing, and we just look at healing as like this one big traumatic thing. But when we're talking about healing, why don't we even change the word healing? We should change the word healing to accepting. To accepting, and I think that's just it, because anything else outside of that is going to be under accepting. So not only do you have all these little minute things that you need to accept, accepting your past, accepting your partner, all these things that trigger you and that make you feel some kind of way. It's not just always your sexual trauma or whatever is the big abuse that you went through. It's not just always that. So there's other things. Right after you heal from that big childhood thing, don't think for a second that you don't have other things. This is why these terms are so dangerous, because if we didn't see it as that, then people wouldn't believe that the work is done, because you got a new man now, so you're not upset about your last man. So, he's loving you in the right way, so now you're healed. Or maybe you did some shadow work. Maybe it's another scenario and you did some shadow work, and so now you're good. But I mean, you only have a matter of time before there's something else that you have to overcome and heal from, or in more technical and accurate terms, accept, because that's what we're doing here, which is why those terms are dangerous. Because when we're thinking that we have to, when we're thinking of healing the way that we do, we're not understanding that this is a part of the journey. We're not, we can start to look at our challenges and the contrast that shows up in our life. Is my mic on? Bruh. Shut up. Why y'all letting me talk without my mic? Sorry, y'all. Dang. Okay, that's okay. This is the reason why it just came to me. I just realized it. Okay. But so we can stop looking at this thing like, if it ain't one thing, it's another. And oh my God, what's happening to me? And You're just on the experience. You're just on the earth experience. That's it. And it's constant. We never get it all. You never get it all. So your man is not going to come healed. It doesn't actually work that way. He's always going to have something that he has to grow and learn through, especially if you guys are starting off in your 20s or 30s, then that's just what it is. Healing is not what we think it is. Now, that's just one little spectrum to the conversation of healing, right? But then there's another one. What about, in this one, y'all, people are going to be watching this video 50 years from now and being like, that this is it, because we haven't even begun to understand what I'm about to explain. It is something that is the future of our world, though. It's going to be the way that counselors and therapists are actually approaching healing, but we're not there yet. Slowly we are, though. Without it being publicly documented, there are therapists and doctors who are understanding this. It's just not a public documented thing yet. You can find it, though. It's real slow. And it has to do with parallel realities, all these different lives and realities. How can you say that your man has to come healed or you are fully healed when you got stuff from another life happening? It is the full on truth. I'm telling you, I get this message. My guys, I remember the freaking day. I remember the day when I got the message so loudly, and they were like, not some of y'all. Every single one of us have experiences that are merging from another reality that is impacting us in a positive way, where a lot of you guys have talents and skills and these random hobbies and things that you're passionate about that are literally coming from another emerging reality. And then we have traumas. This is what I do, guys. When I'm in these sessions, the the main purpose, you could say, for this session is to heal people from a parallel reality that is affecting them the most over here. Literally, when I'm taking them into that reality, I say, let's go into the reality that is affecting you the most in this reality. Let me explain to you some of the things that people are not being healed from. Let me start off with the very ironic thing. It seems like white women, it seems like when I have clients who are white women, we go into another life and they happen to be Black men. And the experience that they have is the pressure that all men can have, no matter what ethnicity, but specifically with my experience in these sessions, Black men having the pressure of having to take care of a family and having to survive, like financially providing, and specifically like being big Black men who are, or like strong Black men in our history, right? Because there is really no past, it's just the illusion of it. But in our history, these men being like, even today still though, like handymen. These are men that are always called on. If you are a brother who has sisters and a mom and aunties, and if you don't have a bunch of men in your family, then you're the one who's called on. You're the one that is looked at as the one to save everyone. You're like, it doesn't even matter. I know men that are queer who are the only man in the family, and they're the ones that are called on to fix things and to just save and help everybody. Without us talking about it, guys, this is a huge thing. Even when I'm helping families with their birth, you know, I also train the fathers as well. We go through a little training that we do. And one of the biggest things that I have to do with them is release that pressure, like helping them to give themselves grace, because there's so much, as much as we act like men don't really go through nothing, there is so much pressure on men to provide. Like if he's not a man that was raised up in a family that is successful and, you know, raised up in wealth, he's going to have a lot of pressure with that. So this is something that white women, my clients who are white women in this timeline, when we go into another timeline, I'm having to help them release that pressure and the feeling of like never being enough. This is how a lot of Black men feel. Never being enough, not being appreciated, just too much pressure. And there are women right now today, white women specifically in my MDR experience, who live with those pressures of not feeling like they're enough and feeling like they have to take on everything and all these things, and won't even know until we do the session that that's coming from your experience of being a Black man in another life. You guys, this is I have this multiple times. I've done these sessions over 100 times. Let me see what else. That's a bunch of stuff, but let me just try to think what else. Grief is another thing. A lot of people will be in this timeline when they're feeling like depressed and they're feeling like loss, feeling a lot of lack. And then we go into the other timeline and they had a spouse that died or a child who disappeared. So let's say they were living in the 1500s and their village got invaded, or I don't know. I'm just thinking of a bunch of stuff now that I've actually experienced in these sessions. And they will live their whole life looking for their child, grieving for their child. And you don't even know, while you over here like, I'm healed. You have that experience coming in, that grief and that sadness from that child that you lost in a completely different lifetime that is affecting you over here. This is very common, you guys. Like, I even almost like, I would go so far to even say that if not half of the time, then more than half of the time, the things that we that are causing blockages and ways that we need things that we need to heal through, it's either half the time or more than half of the time, it's not even coming from this life. It's not even coming from here. It's coming from a completely different reality. I mean, I could go on and on. When people have sexual traumas, people will be here and never had any experience with any type of sexual abuse, never even had that experience at all. That they don't know what that's like in this lifetime. And they're like, oh, thank God, you know, I didn't have that experience. And then we go into another lifetime. Let's say that let's say that in this lifetime, they are uncomfortable sexually, or it can be something that doesn't have anything to do with that. You know, they could just have anxiety and doubt themselves a lot.
and then we'll go into the other lifetime, and they will have had that experience, and their subconscious will reveal to us that that is what they need to release and heal from. This is happening, guys, because the second link to the soul system is parallel realities. If you're just now tuning in, what I'm explaining to everyone is how this is a matrix and how the universe and everything works. And I'm breaking that down in two different ways, or two different types or systems, which is the earth system, which we went over earlier, and the soul system, right? And so I'm breaking down how, because we're talking about how it works, what is impacted by it, how does it maneuver, and how it works, you know? So the second link after your soul team having something to do with it, your higher self and God, which is literally everything, your parallel realities. So that's another thing, is your parallel realities affecting you. They have so much to do with this universe and with this whole reality. I'm gonna read these comments before I go to the second one. I mean, to the last one. Yeah, Z, I want you. I want you to sit with that. Like when, like process that, you know, like, um, you're not crazy. You know, that's not happening for no reason. You're literally having those glimpses, those feelings that you are memories, because it is happening in another reality right now. And nothing else is happening with that except for merging. It's always happening. I mean, it's so funny. I was reading something earlier today and I was like, dang, like, actually, it was something that was talking about this right here, like parallel lives and stuff. And it was tripping me out. Like, you have to forgive me because I've just been going through my own little reawakening, and it's happened. It's like one thing that is flipping me out so much is the full circle moments that I'm having with these messages that my guides have been telling me all along, like for years since I was a kid. And I just remember my eagerness. Like I remember like in my early 20s, before I knew about half of the stuff that I'm talking about, like I would only get the message about it. So there was a knowing of it, but I couldn't really explain it, you know? And I just remember how eager I was always, even when I was a teenager, to tell people that that talent that you have, that thing that you do that you love, it's not coming from here. And I remember, like, if someone would say to me, or I would hear them be like, I don't know, I just started doing this and I'm just good at it. I'll be like, what? Like, what's the thing? Because I want to tell you that that's not coming from here. This is before I even understood parallel lives. It's just that my guides were so adamant about me understanding that these things are not just coming from here. I know that we want to make this timeline in this life everything. Life, or this timeline in this life, is supposed to give us that illusion that it's just like what we do with our experiences. If things are not going your way, it's so deep, it's so big, it's the biggest focal point. Like, have you ever experienced something that to you it was like such a deep big thing, and then as soon as you got on the other side of that experience, you were like, oh, that wasn't even all that. Like, I just did all that for nothing. Like, that's what we're doing all the time here on earth. We're pretty extra, guys. We're pretty dramatic, and I mean that from a soul level. Like, I was in a session one time. I was in a session one time, and the guide came through and was like laughing, and they were like, "Y'all are dramatic." They were like, "We ain't even gonna lie. Like, we love y'all, but y'all are dramatic as hell." And they said that when we die and get on the other side, we laugh at ourselves and how dramatic we were. Women, I know you can understand this, but a lot of you men who be in y'all's heads, all Virgos watching this, every single Virgo, Virgo, Libra cusp, you understand what I'm saying. Libras too, because we're extra. We're dramatic, you guys. We really make this thing bigger and deeper. I know that Earth is school, but It's a playground of school. Like, we also can play. We also can lighten up, you know. So just I mean, I'm saying this so that you understand. I'm saying this so that you kind of like are not so caught up in everything being from here, you know, so that you understand that this is not the only place that matters. It really does matter what's going on the other side of the flip side of things, because this is just how this thing works. It doesn't work like layers. It doesn't work like a linear, you know, this is the linear. Hold on, let me draw it. Let me draw it for y'all, okay? I told y'all I'm trying to start using images with my teaching, so this is helping me, okay? So it's really not like this. It's not a past or a present. It's not a linear thing, and it's not layers, okay? Oh, that's ugly. It's not a stair stepping of like layers. That's not how it works. It works like this. This is the dimensions. And this is not overlapping. That is still linear. It's intertwining. Okay? It's happening right now. Like, inside of my room right now, there's a bunch of shit going on that my brain, my conscious level brain, just without any substances, without any frequency change, cannot see this. But a lot of us, even there was someone on my last live who talked about as a child being able to literally see like lights and being able to grab the lights and like put them under their pillow. This is common. This is a common thing. I'm surprised that the messages that I was getting, I when I was a kid, I'm surprised that I wasn't one of those kids who would see things. I don't feel like I've ever seen anything. I can't remember, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I would remember, because I remember the messages that I would always get. But there's a lot of people, a lot of mediums, a lot of psychics who have that experience where they were 10 years old and younger, which is when your brain is always in your alpha level, and they just thought that all of us were out here seeing objects and seeing things, because the dimensions are here. A better way to even explain this and to really say this in actual factual sense is that we are not inside of a dimension. The dimensions are inside of us. That's what this is. You cannot escape the way that other experiences from other timelines intertwine with yours, because it never was separate. There is no separation. It never was that. It was never a linear thing, and it was never done in layers on top of each other. It just looks like that. I'm going to break down the simulation, the illusion thing. You're so welcome. Okay, so parallel realities. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Let me know if I'm making sense. give me like something. Give me some type of, give me like your favorite emoji if I'm making sense. Okay, divine timing. So a third leg or channel to this thing is, ooh, you know what? Speaking of channels, I'm before I move on past the parallel, I'm going to, before I go to divine timing, I want to give y'all a really good example that might help with channels. What's so funny is that I tried to give my kids this example one time, and it didn't work because these kids ain't never used no radio. I tried to give them an example from, this is probably so ugly, but from a radio. And the kids have never used one. So they were so confused. And I had to, thank you. I had to use like a playlist on an app that they use for their music. I mean, it was like, but it made sense. But I think that's so funny because when I was like, oh, I can give them, I was like, I wonder if this is gonna make sense. And they was like, Mama, we never really use a radio. I'm like, okay, let's switch it up. So a radio. What does a radio have, you guys? We can look at this radio. What can the radio be? I don't even know what the radio, like source. You can say the radio is like source. It's like the spiritual realm if you want, but I'm trying not to separate things, so I don't even want to call it that. But what does a radio have? It has these channels 92.1, 105.3, 46. I'm just making up stuff, right? But it has these different channels, right? Every single channel is its own reality, and they all exist at one time. Just because you're on one station, just because you're listening to 105.3 doesn't mean that 92.1 the beat it does not exist. It doesn't mean that on that channel, as soon as you dial over to that, you're going to be on that frequency or that dimension in that reality. And that's how everything works. You can use the same example for TV. You know, all of the, HBO and stars and everything, they are all in existence at one time, but we are just on this in this particular timeline. We're probably doing the same exact thing in another timeline right now. You guys are watching me. I am saying what I'm saying, and there's just a few little tweaks that are different. And then also, obviously, what's happening is a completely different timeline, a bunch of them. But they're just like I said earlier, how NASA has confirmed long ago that there are trillions of planets, you guys. There's an infinite amount of realities. The realities are so infinite. And the same way that you see God as omnipresent and omnipotent and being this all thing that can create all these things, you can literally imagine, whatever reality that you imagine, bam, it is now a reality. That's how it works. That's how it works. Because of what I talked about with the Earth system, your perception on things, it's really a powerhouse. It really does create our reality. So you might not be able to, like, if you're in this timeline, you might not be able to see what's going on in that other reality that you just imagined. But now that you've imagined it, it is now a reality. It's just like another example to knowing how this happens. It's like you can think of an original thought, something that you came up with, and you're like, oh my God, this is an invention. I want to do this. And the next thing you know, a couple of months later or years later, you see someone else with the same thing. That's because we're all on one string of consciousness. It's just like that. And all you have to do is think of it. Just like on the other side, we know that a ghost or a spirit can think of something. There is no time process. The illusion of time is here. It's not on the other side. But that is literally what is happening, you guys. Parallel realities. So divine timing is the third leg to the soul system, right? We talked about soul team, higher self guide. This is all on the other 50% of your reality. Yeah, the other 50, which makes it a full 100, is 50% is on this earth realm, and it's your choice and your perspective. The other 50% is the soul realm, right? And so the last thing in the soul system is divine timing and soul contracts. Again, I'm breaking down like everything, like why this is in existence, how this thing operates. Okay, so the the other reason for your experiences are the soul contracts and the divine timing. Before you come here, you are given, let's call it a pamphlet. Okay, you're given like a handbook, and you're able to skim through this handbook really fast and decide if you want this. If you guys ever watch people's NDEs, their near death experiences, I don't know why they call it that. That's such an inaccurate. Humans, we be setting ourselves up with the definitions of stuff. We literally make it where we can't understand stuff because of what we call things and how we label them. Why would it be called a near death experience when these people actually die? Like, there's no secret to that. Near death experiences, if you're familiar with them, it's when people die and come back to life. They might go into a deep coma, but they're literally like pronounced dead, and then they come back. It should not be that. It should just be called a death experience. You know, it shouldn't be near death. Like, you died, but so these experiences, I always suggest for people to watch them. If you are needing to understand how things go and just questioning certain things, you should really watch people's NDEs. I mean, they have indie universities now. We're spending billions of our tax dollars on people's experiences and connecting them to people's hypnosis experiences for us to understand what the truth of things are, because it's all subconscious. There's no ego involved. There's no, you can't make it up. It's just what your subconscious is experiencing. So there's a time that you will, or that you do before you come here, and you are picking out things. You want to be the black girl with the curly hair because of whatever thing is happening with black girls and curly hair at that time. Or you get the option to be a white man with blonde hair and a really, 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 really attractive white man. And so you choose, I don't really want that because it's going to be too much attention. Like, this is down to this is how minute, you are able to make your decision on what you want here. Now, when it comes to the contrast and the trauma that you'll experience, not every single thing is checked, but you do get the feel of an overview of it. You definitely get to know the gist of what your reality is going to be like if you decide. Let me read this comment. The mirror effect is a perfect example of what you are talking about. If I look at the screen, I'm watching in a mirror. Everything appears normal. Oh my God. That's freaking amazing. That is super, like, literally, that is literally what is happening. That's amazing. Thank you for pointing that out. That is exactly it. Oh my God. You just, like, now I'm thinking about all kinds of, now I'm about to get into explaining us being in a holographic reality, but I'm gonna wait for my next live or something for that. So, okay, divine timing and contractual agreements. So this is the other half, right? The 50% for the soul system. And this is where, guys, I'm hoping that as I'm explaining this, you can connect the dots between your own experiences of yourself and others, your loved ones and people who you don't know, that you have criticized, including yourself. You have judged, including yourself, all these categories and these, compartmentalizing everybody and everything. I want you guys to think about that as I'm explaining this, because so much of your experiences are contractual agreements. I could spend a whole hour talking about this, because when I see people judging people, and y'all, if you've been paying attention, I talk about this a lot. Because I just be like, where do we get off on being like, it's my job to tell a person that they were wrong for choosing that person, or they weren't supposed to do that, when there's no such thing as a mistake here? It doesn't even exist. We just made it up. So who are we to be like, this person shouldn't be doing that, this person isn't supposed to do that? Were you there when they made their contractual agreement with that person or with that experience? Like, that's crazy. Like, if you really think about it, it is completely insane that we look at someone else's life, and because we don't believe that we would have made those choices, or we don't agree with their choices, we judge them. If you just truly think about it, not only is it insane that we are Christian, that we're completely we just said F what Jesus is talking about. Like, Jesus's biggest message was about judgment. It was about oneness, right? So we're just like, forget that. I'm gonna judge everything. Like, I'm gonna judge myself. I'm gonna judge, like, I think that's just so amazing, y'all. Like, I'll be like, are we in the same, like, are we having the same experience? Because that is so amazing to me. But it comes from these contractual agreements on why you're experiencing so many things. You would not know what you want in a relationship if you did not experience what you don't prefer. It is not a mistake. There's no such thing as failure. You cannot mess this up. I just feel like a freaking broken record explaining this. I hope that I don't sound like one to y'all, but I sound like one to me because because I am always saying this, and I hope that it's getting to at least one of you guys, so that in the moment, not right now when you hear me talking and you could be like, oh yeah, I say the same thing, I be feeling the same thing. No, I'm talking about in the actual moment of the thing, like when it's time for you to decide if you're going to criticize or judge yourself, or if you're going to, when you're thinking back on your past, if you're going to be like going through victimhood instead of realizing that you agreed to this, instead of realizing that so much of this you agreed to, and all of it you have to accept, or you're going to come back here. That's it. I'm always telling people, we be like, Earth is ghetto. Oh my God, I hate being here. Da, da, da. Yeah, but if you don't get your levels in, if you don't get what you're supposed to get here, you're going to come back. So it doesn't really matter how much you complain about it. And this is a message I've been getting since I was literally as early as I can remember, 5 years old. It is a very, very common message right along with Earth is School. So we can talk about, we can criticize ourselves and judge our past, and we can criticize others and judge them all that we want, but it doesn't change the fact that there are like, well, it doesn't change the fact that everything is orchestrated here. Everything is already orchestrated. Everything works like, I mean, one of the proofs of this, guys, is like, honestly, everything is proof that everything works out and that everything is happening how it's supposed to. Think about the cells in your body. Think about the way that your heart pumps blood, and the way that your lungs work with your stomach, and the way, like, all these things that are intertwined. um let's think about birth. Look at how, like, the whole idea of birth, just birth alone, like the way that a human is growing another human. Like, you mean to tell me that you did not have a human inside of you, and you had this experience that's almost like an alien like experience? Like, if you think about what sex is, it's like its own little alien experience if you really break it down. And due to your eggs and this man's semen, you guys came together and created another flesh and bones, and there's going to be an organ that's going to grow inside of you, like an organ that you didn't even have. You didn't even have this organ inside of you, and it's just going to grow out of nowhere, and it's going to feed this human. You have another thing growing inside of you that's going to get so big, it's going to come out of this little bitty hole. This hole is going to expand, and at the perfect time, this being that's going to come out of you is going to do a full spin. Have you guys ever seen an actual birth? The babies do a full spin at the perfect time so that their bodies go with the perfect shape of the canal, because the canal is, the vaginal canal is not straight. It's like a cashew, almost like a cashew shape. And in order for the baby to come out of there, the baby is going to literally do a and be able to come out like, what are we talking about? There is no reason to worry about anything, because everything is literally in place in all the perfect little ways, in places. Like, it's all so perfect. It's crazy that we even started the concept of a mistake. It's crazy that we, from our childhood, from raising children really young, if our children go into the kitchen and spill something, or they mess up their hair, it's crazy how much pressure we put on something that is so small, making little people believe that mistakes actually exist, and that if you make a mistake, it's going to be the biggest, worst thing, and you ruin my day, and all this extra shit. And then you find out in your 30s or 40s, or maybe you never find out, that never even was real. So now you're just living your life afraid to do things because you're afraid to make mistakes. You're afraid of messing up or failing, and that doesn't even exist. And you've been programmed to do this since you were a child, and then you program your children and your grandchildren to do the same thing. And the whole time, this is literally just made up. It's also proof on how this is a matrix. What I just explained is proof on how this is a matrix. Not just what I explained about how everything is going to deteriorate and go away, and your body is, that shows you that this is a computer program. It shows you that it's fake, because all this stuff is going away. It's so temporary. Your soul is the only thing that is going to stay. your consciousness, which is your memory. Your memory is not, it's not stored in your brain, it's your nervous system. When I'm taking people into parallel lives and to speak to their soul team, the way that I can help someone strengthen their intuition, like literally when people go through my mentorship, they come with me with barely any psychic abilities. And when they are done, they are full on channeling. The only way for me to do that is the only thing that goes on, and that's consciousness. That's through your nervous system. Really? That's okay. I'm getting used to doing this by now. Look at that side profile, y'all. Okay, so sorry. Um, so yeah, that's what's happening. It's like literally, you guys have people, you guys have your children, you have the people that trigger you. I was talking to my kids about this earlier because there's this guy, this boutique guy, you know, I guess in New York they call it bodega. Anywhere else we probably just call it a corner store. But here in Senegal, it's called boutique. And it's just like little corner stores, right? And there's this guy that just he be wanting to catch one. Like he is so rude. He is so dumb. He is just, we have never experienced anything like him. And even my Senegalese friends be arguing with him about us because he is just so much. And anytime that my male friends leave, he just be doing too much. He always just making little passes and all this stuff. So I was using him as an example because our relationship is like, he triggers me sometimes. And I have to be like, okay, you know, we're not going to go to him anymore. And at one time I tried to explain, you know, how he is, how he's really difficult to work with and all this stuff. And he just doesn't care. You know, he has his, you know, he's his way. But I was explaining to my kids the same understanding of contractual agreements, and they know the guy. So, you know, even my Senegalese friends were like, "Oh my God, he's such an idiot." Like, you know, we're all triggered by him, if anything. And so I was just saying, I was like, even something as simple as me and his relationship, which is such a temporary, you know, I'm not even going to know this guy when I move or whatever. You know, it's just whatever it's supposed to be right now. And even him and I, our souls have an agreement. The experience, I'm just using this as an example so you can see this from the broader perspective that it actually is. But he is such a temporary, you know, like template in my experience, and it's still something that is orchestrated and meant to be there. And just because he is the way that he is, it makes me think things, and it changes my mind on things, and it impacts me in whatever way that it does, and it allows me to make decisions and do things. Like, that's what everything is, even the things that irritate you. Imagine going through something as deep as grief, like grieving a loved one, or something as minute but still very triggering as someone like your neighbor irritating you, or someone at your job irritating you or triggering you. Imagine the two extremes of these things. Or something like you losing your job. That's also very extreme, right? And imagine you having these experiences and not labeling them, like not judging them and criticizing them. Imagine you just accepting that experience and knowing that this is happening for a reason. There's no way this is not supposed to be happening. Why? Because it is happening. That's the only way. That's everything that is here is all God. That's all that there is. So this is assurance and proof that you don't have to worry about things. You don't have to try and control things. You're really not the one who's supposed to be saying what's happening next and this has to work. Only this can happen if this works out. You know, we really make our own journey harder. We create resistance and we make ourselves restless when we're the one that's trying to control and critique and, like I keep saying, like judging. I know I'm saying the same thing again and again, but keep judging and separating things, because that's not really real. We're just making that up. No one even told us to do that. No one even told us to do that, y'all. We just be doing shit. You know, humans just be doing stuff. Like, who told us to separate math from science, choir from art and dance. Like, who said do that? None of these things are separate. I love how people, like, sometimes I get like a really religious person or a really spiritual person and they try to tell me what I do. This is like my most favorite conversations. And they'll be like, "Oh, well, I'm spiritual. You're more about science." Or, I'm into, spirituality. Even a religious person will say, I'm spiritual. I go off my spiritual experience and with God. You go off of the brain. And it's like, what the hell do you think I'm doing? You don't think that going into another reality is spiritual? You don't think that talking to the deceased? I just had a client the other day. Well, this was just yesterday, and we did a session, and Charlie Kirk came through. Charlie Kirk came through to speak to her. That doesn't sound spiritual. Yes, I did go through the brain. I went through the nervous system. That's science, but you're a whole science project. These things should have never been separate. Science is spirituality. Spirituality is science. Like, how could we ever think that it's anything different when, if we even just break down like the science of faith and belief, let's get religious and spiritual about it. Jesus walking through the villages and healing people. I'm using these terms because Jesus never said that he healed anyone. He always, always, always touched people and said, "I am not healing you. You are healing yourself because of the faith and the belief that you have in God." Who is God? God is you, because God is everything. God is what is everything. So if we're talking about a science to what that is, it has to do with your perspective on things. It has to do with your frequency, right? The frequency of love and grace and joy. All these things is what gets you to that vibration of God. I literally just broke down science and spirituality together. It's a frequency thing. It's the alpha, beta, theta, like all of these different frequencies. That is science, right? And then from the spiritual standpoint of what those things do. So it's all the same thing. It's just really amazing how we've been able to separate them and believe in that separation. I think that's going to be. Am I going to give another example about contractual agreements? Um, well, I didn't want to mention. I didn't want to mention about your personal relationships. I kind of was getting into that, but I just mentioned I wanted to get light, like the guy at the grocery store, because see, people don't think that there's a soul contract with that. That's the point of me explaining this, because when we think about soul contracts, we think about our children. We think about the people that have impacted us the most in this lifetime. And it's everybody that you come in contact with, because everything is orchestrated. A really good example that I give, if you ever watched the movie Benjamin Button, if you haven't watched this movie, go watch this movie. I have watched Benjamin Button multiple times, and I'm not a multiple times watching gal, okay? But when it's a good movie and I know that I'm getting messages from it, I'll watch that movie again and again. So, Benjamin Button, there is a particular part, and I've been using this in my coaching for well over 12, 13 years, because it gives such a great example, and we need images. We need film and images to help us to understand this stuff. So there's a part in Benjamin Button when his girlfriend, who is a dancer, breaks her leg. And in that part, when she breaks her leg and she's not able to dance again for a while, they break down how that experience conspired. And they show you in real time how this event of her getting her leg broken, which was her getting hit by a car, how that took place with all the things that were affected and impacted and orchestrated within that experience. And I hope this is going to make sense. Let me try to do this on this. So, the dancer, she's here and she's leaving practice. She has a skirt on. Can y'all see her skirt? I find that's not dark enough. Let me just use black. Let me just use black. So she's over here and she's dancing or whatever. This is just the ugliest drawing ever. Okay, she's twirling, right? She's twirling out the street, out in the street when she's leaving practice. And then there's a car that hits her. I'm just gonna use dots for the rest of them because it's gonna be crazy for me to try to do all that. So the car hits her, right? And that's how she breaks her leg. But then how did the car ended up hitting her? Because the taxi driver, which it was a taxi car, the taxi driver was, and I might not be exactly accurate, but you're going to get the gist of it, and you can watch it yourself to see how accurate the details are. But the taxi driver was looking down because he almost dropped his coffee. Okay, that is how he ended up hitting her. But that's not it because everything is orchestrated. The taxi driver's client or whatever, the girl in the back of the taxi was late because she had to go and get a gift from someone from the gift shop, and and the gift shop lady who she went to was late because she was dealing with a breakup from her with her boyfriend. So she was on the phone and she was feeling distraught and she was taking a long time to wrap up the gift. So I'm not going to keep going, but my point is that it goes back and back. This person was doing this person was doing that. And all these individuals is what led up to her be for that taxi driver to be that there at that very moment, at that very second, while she was also at that very moment on that day, at that very second, leaving her practice and in the street at that very moment. That is actually how every single thing is taking place every second. That's it. Let's just stay with that. Okay? Let's just process that for just a second, you guys. I do mean everything. There's nothing that's not happening like this. It's always like I tell people there's never when it comes to one thing, if you just get one lesson out of something, you didn't get the lesson. You might have an experience and you might be like, oh yeah, the lesson I got. Most of the time we're always like the lesson is no. It don't work like that. It worked like this. It's always more than one person impacted and involved. There's always a string of us because we're all connected, and there's always one lesson. In one experience, it's not just you getting the thing. It's the other people that's around you. It's like it's all just one thing. It's all just one thing. Does that make sense? I know I'm being extra with my images, but that's because I wanted to practice doing this. So just take it or leave it, okay? So yeah, y'all check out that part in Benjamin Button. I love that part. Like I make my kids watch that just on a random day. It's a long movie. That movie is like Titanic. Like it's a long movie, but if you can just pull up that part on YouTube, I really really suggest that you look that up. It might be like Benjamin Button, you know, girl gets hit with ballerina. Ballerina gets hit. Like type in something like that, and it might just have like that little clip that you find. But yeah, so everything is everything, and um, even though if you can look up here, I broke down the Earth system and the Soul system. I already wiped the screen. I already wiped the board for the Earth system, but this is the Soul system. And the ending message or the conclusion to all of this, you guys, is what I was just explaining about nothing being separate. It's all one thing. Just like what I said about how people really, really do think that they are telling me something when they're like, "Oh, well, you're all into the science. You're not," and I'm just like, you guys, you are science. The only reason why we want to separate it is because the ego makes us want to separate things and put like, um you know, I'm right and you're wrong. You know, it's me and then it's them. But that's all fake. It's all an illusion. What's that video of Michael Jackson saying? It's all lies. It's all lies. It's not the truth. Stop it. It's not the truth. That's how I feel when I'm explaining this. It's not the truth, guys. So let me know if y'all have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns. Does this make sense to you? If you are religious and you're watching this, I'm so glad that you're here because without you even understanding, you too believe in everything I just broke down. If you believe that there is a higher power, then you do believe in other realities. You don't believe that whenever our body dies, that's just it. You believe in there being an ongoing experience, right? No matter what, we're not even going to get into the details of what that experience is, but you believe in another experience. If you believe that God is omnipresent and omnipotent, then you do believe that there is nothing else that exists except for God. You do believe that this is an illusion. If you believe that God created this realm, this world, then you do believe that this is a simulation. Even if your mind unconsciously has this image of this man looking over us, you know, even if your mind has that you know, idea, it still means that you believe that this is a simulation. You just might believe that it's simulated, that the owner of the simulation or whatever is a male, a masculine, you know, spirit, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone believes. That's the cool thing about this place, you know. It's there is nothing matters. There is no actual, like, everything is meaningless, you guys. This place is a clean slate for all of us until you put the meaning in the thing. It's us who put the meanings and stuff. We do that, excuse me, we do that as a collective together. Together we put the meaning in things, we put the definitions and the meaning of things, we make the thing have meaning. And then individually based on your own perspective and your own whatever it is that you decide that you want to feel, you are also putting the meaning into things. But the way that things really are is they are meaningless until you project your meaningfulness on it, your definition and your perception on it. Isn't that cool? It kind of helps you with understanding why there's no need to like debate or try and convince someone or, you know, make someone understand you. It's the truth and the fact that you can't control anyone or you can't change people. Everyone has to change themselves. It just proves all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of here in a second, y'all. Let me know if y'all have any questions or anything. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. How long has it been? It has not been 2 hours. You lying. It's been 2 hours. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for sticking here, and I hope that this made sense. I hope that some of it made sense or that it resonated you on some level. Even if it didn't make sense, that's perfectly fine. But I hope that you got what you were supposed to from it. Sorry, y'all. It's a mosquito. It's a bunch of mosquitoes. I'm going to do a whole live about the truth about mosquitoes. Because we need to talk about this blood sucking insect that needs my blood to feed its children. That's crazy. A lot of stuff is crazy that we just be acting like it's normal. And mosquitoes are one of them. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. You guys are just, that means that you're just sitting there staring at me. It's like 7 of you guys in here. What do you want to say? Oh, I forgot that if I do it like this. Can y'all see the board more clearer now? I did want to say something else that I forgot about. Oh, I think that I did end up just saying it because I was going to stop at the parallel realities and everything being the same thing. But I guess I don't need to. So if you guys are interested in any of my services, you guys can find me at earthisschool.com. I do intuitive coaching and reading for people. I also have a mentorship program that is for a month. You can go to my website and read the reviews on that as well. You are so welcome. Thank you, searching for the truth or for truth. I really love that name. There's been so much push from my guides for me to share Jesus's message and just how well we missed it. If you guys can think back on how history actually is, I mean, even when I was talking about my sessions, one of the common things that I have to help people release, and a lot of you guys watching this, I know for a fact, I'm going to say that the majority of you, if you're watching this and you have awakened, you're awaking now, if you speak the truth, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting so distracted because I want to get this mosquito. But I'm going to say that more than half of you have had a life that you've lived where you were labeled as a witch or someone that does magic or chastised in whatever way for speaking the truth. And I have that experience a lot in my MDR sessions where people are murdered for those things or publicly humiliated for those things. And so in this life, you know that you're supposed to be on camera or that you're supposed to be speaking or something, and you're afraid to do it because of what happened in another parallel reality. And so speaking on Jesus and your name searching for truth, I just love that because I don't think that we understand, like, even 10 years ago, what I just broke down today, even 10, 15 years ago, is like most, even the people that are in here watching this would not have stayed here to watch this. So much has, like, we have progressed as a, human, as, mankind has progressed so much when it comes to allowing people to speak on things outside of religion. And, Jesus was a Jew. So it was really crazy for him to be flipping over tables because, he's against taxes and, speaking the truth about things, speaking about people being one with God. These were concepts that people were not talking about. This was a new thing. His chastising, his murder and everything, it was literally, it was because of him speaking the truth. Like, what are we thinking? What are we thinking when we're hearing that? Like, are you honestly thinking, like, with okay, seriously, you know what? I'm about to turn this camera off. Don't do it again. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, you guys. Oh, I got y'all all in the camera. Okay. We good. We good. Don't do that. I'll be talking to my equipment. Oh, I'm not even on the camera. Okay. See, you can tell when I'm on my camera because you see how clear it is. Why is it hating on me though? So, so, um, you can imagine someone who was telling people not to go to the synagogues and the churches. There's not a scripture we can find of Jesus telling people to actually form a religion and go to church or anything, even though he was considered a Jew and he did go off of that religion, but he also was a person that was giving messages that were not given. He talked about finding the truth within you and the faith and everything being inside of you and us all being one and to not judge because you are, what is the scripture? How does it go? Um, don't basically it says I can only paraphrase stuff, but basically it's like don't judge because you will be judged. I know that's not the right scripture, but it's something like that, right? Or it's basically it's saying like for whatever you judge people by, you will be judged with the same thing. What it's saying is it's not talking about like after this life. If you guys can pay attention and be honest with yourself, it's happening today. If you just pay attention and just think, even if there were things that you thought when you were a kid and then you get older and you're like, oh damn, like I judged that. Like I thought it was this and I actually learned that it was that. Most of the time when you're complaining about somebody and you're saying that somebody isn't doing something and they're doing that, either you have done that to someone else or you're doing it right now. And if those two things are not the experience, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up doing it because it's all we're talking about it all being at once. He was never talking about like in a heaven somewhere afterwards, and then there's going to be a hell, and you're going to be like nada, none of that. He never mentioned hell either. But you can tell like it's almost obvious in from today. You can really see it, but I'm just saying that because there's so many truth speakers and stuff. But someone going around and saying like, I'm going to touch you and you're going to heal, but it's not me that's healing you. It's you healing yourself based on your faith and your belief. That's called what people have called me today, like crazy. That's what Jesus was being called, crazy. He was being ridiculed for doing the opposite of what religion is actually doing. And this is not to shun you away from religion. If you are a religious believer, then that's the path that you're supposed to be on. You're not wrong for that at all. But I'm just talking about Jesus and what his messages were about, how much we ignore them. Don't y'all remember when we used to be like WWJD? Like, what would Jesus do? We need to bring that back. I feel like we really need to bring back what would Jesus do. There's a lot that we're just skipping and missing. Jesus never intended to create followers. That was never his intention. It was to create leaders. That was what he was speaking about. And without freaking anybody out, I speak to Jesus in my sessions. I've spoke to Jesus multiple times. He's actually come through in my sessions. And if you think that's crazy, then you just don't really believe in Jesus then. Because what's so crazy about Jesus coming through and speaking to people, right? If you're a believer of Jesus, then let you tell it. It happens all the time, right? So it's not anything that you could really like, you know, debate or debunk. When you get on a certain frequency, there's a reason, guys, why I can guide a person on a different frequency and all of a sudden their grandmother will come through or Jesus. In this frequency that we're in right now, you guys are receiving this information and you're calculating things and you're thinking, you're in your beta mode. You're over 24 to 27 beats per second with your brain waves. If I take you all the way down, I could do this in 15 minutes right now. And you guys are going to start to feel different and you're going to start to hear the messages that you are always getting. It's just that all of the beta chatter is normally in the way. So you can't really hear it. But they're just waiting for us to be at a calm frequency when we're not in survival mode and we're not in, you know, I have to figure it out. It's in my control. I have to do everything. You know, that's all that I'm doing is taking all that away from people, clearing their mind so that they can hear and they can have that experience. It's really not like this big old crazy thing that we put on it. It's really simple, and it's what Jesus was doing. You know, if we want to talk about Reiki, what is Reiki? Reiki is energy healing, right? Reiki is the same thing. I've been doing Reiki on my kids since they were little. Like my children, we don't do dentists and doctors or anything like that. We don't do cavities or anything like that either. Because I'm using the same thing that Jesus used. And this sounds like it's so disrespectful and it's so bad, but did he not say, be like me? That is what we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be being Christ-like. That's the whole point of his message. I don't know how we got from all of what he said to, okay, let me worship and follow and walk around with the cross that he died on. Him and many others. You guys know that Jesus wasn't the only one to die like that. That was a very common way to die. To be nailed to the cross, if you just look it up in history, there's so many famous people and just normal ordinary people that were nailed to the cross. It was a very common way to die during that time in that area. But there's just a lot of misconceptions. Jesus was very misunderstood. He was very misunderstood, like a lot of truth speakers and truth seekers today. Everything is meaningless. Wow. Yes. Can't wait to hear about the mosquitoes. Y'all, I got a whole theory on the mosquitoes. Okay, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Don't be a hater. My camera is not even going to let me say bye. Okay. I appreciate you guys. Please share this live. If you enjoyed this live, then share it. Even if it's just one person that it reaches, it doesn't even matter. That's the person that was supposed to see it. I'm sorry, y'all, because I'm trying to say bye. And the camera, I don't want to say bye on this ashy screen. Look at this screen. It's ashy. Doesn't that look better? Okay. All right, y'all. Until next time, maybe tomorrow, turn your notifications on, okay? As soon as we get off of here, y'all, turn your notifications on so that you don't miss it. You can get the notification every time I go live. I love you guys. Until next time, peace out.